In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, be advised that notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board, town hall, and sent to the officially designated newspapers, indicating that the meeting would take place on Community Center at 6:30 p.m. on this date. The fire exits are located in the far right corner in the back, and to my immediate left in the fire. Per Resolution 156-20, establishing rules of conduct and decorum for public meetings, please be advised of the following. All members of the public must step up to the designated microphone and state for the record their name and address before addressing the mayor and council. Roll call.
Councilman Haynes.
Here.
Councilman Hurley.
Here.
Councilman McDonald.
Here.
Councilman Southbound.
Here.
Councilman Smith.
Here.
Council President White. Here.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have one appointment for tonight for the Board of Health. Martel Reed, being appointed to an unexpired 3-year term ending December 31st, 2025. I believe she's taking the spot of someone that has passed away.
She's taking the spot of Pat Giannetti.
And, with now people on board, and, I guess the last meeting, we were able to hold it because of the lack of quorum, so it's good to.
We fortunately and unfortunately have 3 nurses on our board, and some of them get called out and have to be on call, and so at the last minute we didn't have a quorum. But Martel Reed spent her whole career working in health systems. She's retired now, but I think she'll be an incredible addition to the Board of Health. She spent many of her last years working for Atlantic Health as the right-hand man to the CEO of Atlantic, so I think she's got a great background to participate.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Martel Reed to Board of Health.
Motion.
All in favor? Our second.
Second.
Great. Approval of minutes for the regular meeting August 24th, 2023, the regular meeting September 11th, 2023, the regular meeting September 28th, 2023.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor? Before we get to council reports, I just do want to announce that the working meeting that's scheduled for next Thursday will be canceled, but certainly if there's any urgent topics, please include them in your reports for tonight. Council reports, Council meetings.
Good evening, Mayor, fellow council members, and our public. DPW report, Billy and his team have been working around town, replacing a couple of new fire hydrants. They also put out the new planters along Main Street, which the apartment club did a wonderful job decorating. Looks very, very nice. They also, I don't know if anybody's been to town hall, but they also repaired the wood around the entrance to the town hall, which looks really great. They also did both that and the building department door. They painted everything up, so it looks really nice and sharp. Over the last couple of weeks, they did have 2 water main leaks, one on Sweet Mine Road in Rockaway and the other on Sunny Hill Road. And I guess, I don't know if anybody noticed today, but the street sweeper is out and around about town. And they are currently working on 2 water main projects, one on Mount Pleasant Ave and the other on Brook Street, and they're both on schedule, and that's my report.
Motion to accept the report of Councilman Haynes.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Councilman Southbound.
Evening, Mayor, Council, or residents. Well, my report's kind of short, but for ordinance, there are some things are still ongoing, we're still working on. The environmental committee canceled a meeting last night to not enough people to make a quorum. On top of that, I've been reporting about the Memorial Association also. We started our next project that's cleaning footstones for veterans in the cemeteries. We started with the American Legion, Post 344, that with us doing this together as a project. We started St. Cecilia's, and when we leave St. Cecilia's, we'll be working to the Presbyterian Church Cemetery. That has over 500 veterans in it to take care of. And we're going to be moving to Marcel. work up there. It's a nice project with cleaning the stones, showing them up against everything to see them. These are the federal supplied stones for military honor. That's for this great stuff. That's what we're working on. There's some other things I want to discuss. Next weekend is the Presbyterian Church Cemetery Walk. And it's kind of exciting. My son did this a few years ago. This year I'm partaking in it. And Mayor, this year I'm going to be the first mayor of Rockaway Borough, representing Mr. Milford Straight himself.
Oh, wow.
First mayor of Rockaway Borough. So it's going to be kind of exciting. So yeah. The only thing I have else is, last meeting I mentioned our Christmas lights. How we coming with that? Was there anything on that?
So no decorations of today, as of today, have been ordered. They are working on the poles, the black poles. They are working with an electrician, and also two buildings working with JCP and L and Verizon to attach additional outlets to the other telephone poles. So until all that's in place, no decorations have been ordered.
I have seen the lights are all fixed and repaired on Main Street. It's all lit.
It's not there?
They're all lit, all streets. There's all lit up, you know, yeah, streets.
Yeah, but they need receptacles to do.
The receptacles, yeah, it's receptacles, I'm sorry, did I come? Receptacles, receptacles for the decorations of plug-in.
But it's a telephone poles, yes.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
It's all good, thank you. That's all I have, Mayor, thank you.
And then, I did talk to, Mr. Nichol, who's head of the Rotary, Club, and they'll be putting out their flags, along the guardrails at Parks Lake, in preparation of Veterans Day, you know, after our spectacular event, you know, Halloween event that we had, on the walk there, but, I told them to try to get them up, a week or two early, because they look awesome. So they really look like the flags, so he's actually gonna spread them out a little bit, so the flags will now.
Streets and boroughs on it.
But yeah, so that'll be, those will be going up against fall. Motion to accept the report of Councilman Slocum.
Motion.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Councilman Borough?
Thank you, Mayor, fellow council members, and our members of the public here tonight. We start off on the Finance Committee with the accounts payable. I move that the bills presented to the Borough of Rockaway for payment by the Borough as evidenced by proper vouchers be referred to the committee or unit contracting for same, and when endorsed by them and approved by appropriate action of the council that they are to be paid.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
A couple of things coming down, bring us up to date. Our municipal building relocation committee met yesterday. Kind of like a baseline, Councilman Slocum is there along with Ms. Reiche. Kind of taking a look at our current state, where we are, what are the things that we absolutely need, what are the things that we have to have, what are the things that would be nice to have. But there's kind of a discussion centered around three things: be a rent, buy, or build. And I think the consensus in the group was that the first is a non-starter. But then when we started to look at building and buying, there's a lot of issues and research that has to be done before you go and you start to make a move like that. So each one of us has a takeaway, go out and do research in various areas, whether it is the build or the buy. But there's three things that really came to light. Is that issue number one is space over there. I mean, we have 8 regular full-time employees that work in that location. The front counter space, or the window space, as you will, if you're familiar with the inside of the municipal building, is very limited. And Ms. Reiche has expressed a number of times that we do have a concern for cash handling security. There's certain audit constraints, stipulations, and sometimes statutes, more recommendations, but how the flow of that whole office works. So that's one of the issues, actually 1.A that we considered. Second one is parking. And we're now extremely limited in our parking of where we can park at the municipal building, seeing as that the gentleman now has an active, full operating automotive repair facility going next door. So when we factored in, and again, we were just looking at baselines, is to consider those issues as must-haves, as parking, as security, and as for space. So we all, kind of threw out some ideas, and in a very high-level general term. So what we all do, we have our takeaways. We're scheduled to come back. I think we scheduled it for November, last week in November, to come back with our data, our research, things that we've discovered, and then we'll take it from there. So it was a good meeting. I think we had a productive time, and at least establishing that baseline of what we need.
Which includes, even to the point of modifying what we have, if other things don't work out, that type of stuff. But, yeah, so it's just everything that
Good. Just a quick reminder, last meeting I mentioned to our council team here, we've established the cutoff date for 2023 purchase orders. It's December 1st, so as you're chatting with your department heads out there, just kindly give them the general cut on the collar or the sleeve that we are going to cut the purchase orders on December 1st. Any purchase orders issued after December 1st will get paid in 2024, but they do have to encumber the money for that. So we have it in our funds for payment in the beginning of the year.
I will send out an email also to the department heads also, just so there's more on this.
Great, thanks, Andy. We did need to go out to bond. We had a bond approximately $994,000. It's typical way that we work in the process of managing our cash flow and our cash administration. And if you've been kind of keeping track of what's been going on in the financial markets, you'll know that right now isn't the greatest time in the world for municipal bonds, where they were attractive for many years because they did have certain tax advantages. Unfortunately now, with the state of the economy and what's going on with inflation and the federal rate that's out there, we got one bid. And normally we usually get like at least 3 or 4, right, Patty, when we go out to bond bid. And the rates are rather high. So we were able, and when I say fortunately, don't look at me crazy like I'm crazy, but we got a 5.25 rate on that bond, which in this day and age right now for a muni is pretty good. So just kind of wanted to connect the dots between what's going on in the economy and how it affects us locally. So, the good old days of getting 2.5%, 3%, I think those are pretty well underwater right now. So just wanted to give you an update on that. In and around town, real quickly, townwide yard sale had 51 residents participating, and we distributed over 90 maps. I know it was a little touch and go there with the weather, but most of the feedback I got was positive. A couple of people were disturbed that we did have it on a rainy day, but if you looked at the weather last Saturday, it would have been a canceled event. So we thank those people that participated. Museum renovations are progressing. This week we got a beautiful cabinet. Councilman Slotcar is on that committee, and the cabinet was installed day before yesterday, and it is absolutely beautiful. It'll be the centerpiece for display. Lots of new exhibits, some really, really nice stuff. We did get a donation from a woman who goes back to the 70s here in Rockaway by the name of Cristiano. If you're at all familiar with the Blue Book, History of Rockaway Borough, we kind of call it the Bible of Rockaway Borough, Terry Cristiano was the one who was the main author on that. She's 94, lives in Florida, and happened to have some very, very, we get jazzed over in the historical committee, but beautifully framed original land documents going back to 1762. That's before the Civil War. And they're signed by names like Cobb and Stickle. You'll see the Jacksons in there, but this one particular deed that we had is framed, and it actually was from the point when Stickle and I guess it was Cobb who signed it. This actually was part of the Morris Canal, and up on the top was the original foundry, and it's the deed to the foundry going back to 1762. So what I'm trying to do is say this is a nice invitation for you all to visit us, because we're having a grand reopening on the 30th. So please do stop by and visit and sample all that we've got out there. And finally, I just want to send my thanks over to Councilman Smith as chief of the fire department. A great event last Saturday with the inspection dinner. The ceremony was very moving, and I thank Mayor Mulligan for reaching out for the flags for Mr. Swanik and Mr. Nisman. So that's my report, folks.
You did the finance piece of it? Did you do the finance piece in the beginning?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Motion to accept the report of Councilman Hurley?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Councilman Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. If I could start off with putting the other hat on real quick. I want to thank the mayor and council for coming out to the inspection and coming to the banquet. Tom, thank you very much for going extra yards for the flags and the resolutions and proclamations for Harry and for Timmy. They're 40 and 42 years of service in the fire department in town, so it's kind of, not a lot of guys do that. And they're both extremely active still at this point in time. So thank you very much to everyone for doing all that extra work and putting that in and getting who we got done. I appreciate that.
No, absolutely. And, you know, it was brought up twice, so the flags that they're referencing, Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill had given me 2 flags that were flown over the U.S. Capitol in honor of our firefighters with the extended years of service. So I reached back out to her, just you know, thanked her profusely for going, like Council said, going hard, recognizing Tim and Harry.
You went a lot further with it than I asked you to do. I really appreciate it. It was, thank you. And the guys appreciate it too. I'm gonna touch on another note. Yesterday afternoon, midday, the time frame is off a little bit with me, I apologize. But one of our firefighters, an EMT, was in a unique situation where a couple people were walking down the street up on Woodside, and he heard someone screaming, and when he went out, he found a gentleman laying in the road. He had his father, Councilman Hurley, call 911. He assessed the patient, found no pulse, no breathing, and within the first cycle of CPR, the guy had a pulse and left in an ambulance alive and coherent with some sore ribs, but right place, right time, right training. So Scott Hurley, I think, should get some kind of acknowledgement at another meeting or so, because it is, Councilman Slockbauer will attest, there's not a lot of saves when you do CPR, that they're far and few between. It's really, he altered somebody's life yesterday, multiple people's lives. So I think we need to reach out and do something for him as well.
And with that, Councilman Smith, I'd also like to recognize the police department.
Yep. They're on there immediately.
I've always posted about the response whenever I'm in different forums and different situations. When I got on the phone with county dispatch, I have a little timer on my cell phone. It took 28 seconds from the time I was connected to that call to the time that Officer Nygren arrived on the scene. About 20 seconds after that, Officer Rattino was there, and within 3 minutes, Atlantic Health. So if you want to talk about a community that has quick response, you hear horror stories in the television news about, I had to wait 2 hours, I had to wait an hour and a half. 28 seconds is amazing. So I would like to include
Actually, I was gonna get to
two
that.
officers there.
I actually found out about it when I got home later last night. Officer Nowen grabbed me in the street, told me what had happened, and I actually asked him for the report, and we're gonna see if we can submit something down to the 200 Club Award as well, so we'll see what happens there. But there's a few people in the room who know how rare those saves are, and you know, like I said, all of them together altered a lot of people's lives yesterday.
Yeah, I'd like to see a full report when it's available of everything. And then just, well, you still have your
Yep, I got it.
count on, anyway.
Go ahead.
No, it's just recognizing the people that we do have in our fire department and, you know, how well trained they are, and certainly this one caught up too, which I didn't realize until Saturday, that one of our firefighters, just graduated from the State Police Academy, is now a road trooper, so, which is unbelievable. It just goes to the quality of people. We need more of them.
He actually joined, he was a corrections officer, He joined the fire department to get away from and kind of get out of the jail system because he was in, his job was to be in jail. I mean, who wants to be in jail all day? So he was looking to meet some other people and get another avenue and serve the community. And he went down to the State Police Academy and graduated. He's on 3-month probation with his training officer, and he's doing very good. So he's also a huge asset to the fire department. So that's it with the one hat.
All right, so I look forward to recognizing as many people as I can, so continue.
So, because we're not having a meeting next week, there were a couple things that I wanted to touch base on. And I know we have some of the ordinances, and I think some of them need to be tweaked. But as far as vacant properties, I pulled up a lot of commercial properties, and it does go over to the residential as well. But I pulled up some ordinances from the state and throughout the country, addressing particularly, and I apologize, I left them on my desk at work, did it at lunch. They address the storefronts when the building's vacant, and they have a registration fee. And what the registration fee is it's used to go back into the downtown or the business districts for projects such as flower baskets or for lighting. So that's what that fee goes to. And then what they also do is they dictate what has to be in the storefront window when it's vacant. It says, you know, you could put up a window wrap where, you know, it's for the seasons or the holidays. You could put in a display of things, you know, within reason. Butcher paper is not one of them, you know, because, you know, it just, to me, I don't find it very conducive to a downtown environment. So before we, you know, I bring it to the ordinance committee, I just want to make sure that there's enough interest in going forward with this and doing something where they have to register it and they have to pay the fee. And again, what those fees do is a vacant property. From what I got from the ordinances is it's twofold. They use the money again for the town, for the business districts and to do the projects, but it also helps to inspire people to rent the properties because someone can just write it off and let it sit there and do it, and they have to have, you know, so that's the one.
So does that include the window dressings?
Yes.
Is that something, you know,
So that they can't, so the property that has butcher paper in the window, not allowed.
but even like that old pearly maze, you know, they just have
Yeah.
the tape on them, you know,
Yes.
come up, you know.
They would have, with the window, when they do the window wrappings, what I saw from some of the ordinances is, they actually have and say, okay, here's the options, you could do this, you could have, you know, a patriotic theme, you could have a holiday theme, you could have different themes, but they're ultimately approve those themes through the mayor and council or the business, association, so that, again, it's more conducive to a vibrant downtown and not a rundown.
Because I know you, the council president, you know, have approached business owners about.
Yeah, we had scoped out what the window wraps would look like, and some of them were just like really beautiful streetscapes,
Yeah.
and, you know,
There's a lot
they can be really attractive.
Yeah, and again, it's to just make it so it doesn't look abandoned. And those fees would also, the registration fees also go to where if they don't maintain the front of the property and the weeds grow, it covers the cost of sending the DPW now. So it's just, I read ordinances from all over the country, so I don't know if they all are gonna work here, but as long as there's interest in doing it, then I think as an ordinance committee, we could work with that. So, just again, before we go too crazy, that's the one item I wanted to bring up.
So we all good for,
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah, I think we should.
worth it.
Okay. And the other topic I wanted to bring up, and, you know, I'm kind of, for lack of a word, beating a dead horse. There's ordinances throughout the state, throughout the country, that deal with stacking. It's a problem, and we're gonna have, it's gonna get worse unless we do something. You know, once it starts in the town, it spreads, because everybody says, hey, you can get away with it. So, some of the ways they combat it are with working with the school districts to see if there's multiple kids registered as a single-family dwelling with different names. So they work in conjunction with the schools, because it also helps the schools save on their costs when they have some of those issues. Some of them are as far as parking, availability of the spaces and stuff like that, and, you know, with the cars being parked in the street, or, you know, if they're gonna be parked in the street, they have to have a permit that's free, just so that they know that it goes to the house. Because then if you have 7 different last names parking at the same house with the permit, you have a problem.
So was, the ordinance that's on for introduction sort of a start to that?
That deals with single families with just the, allowing a border in the room, so I guess it's a start. But from what I'm getting back from our professionals is that when they go to whatever property to do their inspection, they give them, hey, we're coming out tomorrow at 9 o'clock, you know, the day before, and in the next 12 hours, they move everything out of the house, you know? So it's really not, it's counterproductive, you know, they give them the heads up because they have to by law, but, you know, I don't know, if they're gonna do that, maybe when they give them the heads up, they gotta sit their officer out, not the cop, but the health officer out front, and watch them move all the stuff out of the house. But we're not, you know, there's ordinances all over, and unless they're enforced, they're not gonna do anything anyway. But we need to make sure that our professionals are enforcing them, and again, I feel very strongly about it, because it affects a lot of people. You know, I mean, it's Rockaway Borough, our taxes aren't cheap, I pay them, we all pay them, and then when you have someone doing that in your house next door, I know I go through the roof. So, you know, I don't think it's fair to the residents to have to deal with it, I think we need to really, if we even have to get our attorneys involved and come up with some of these ordinances and what we have to do to combat stacking, because I know it doesn't happen everywhere. I mean, it happens in towns and it's kind of in the areas where it's no harm, no foul, but, you know, there's towns where none of this happens, and we should be one of them, otherwise we're gonna lose Rockaway Borough.
So just in a basic way, we are working through our attorney and the courts to take the next steps.
But again, if they're gonna, and I know they have to give them notice, but if they're gonna give them notice, maybe they need to park their car out there and watch. We pay a lot of money for our professionals across the board, and there's gotta be a way that we can start to crack this down before, you know, it drives all of our property values down and it really starts to affect people's lives.
So what would you like to see, obviously some of the additional paperwork that you have, you'll bring that, share it with us, or share it with the ordinance committee, how do you want to?
Yeah, I'll bring it to the ordinance committee, again, if everybody's on board with doing it, you know, time is precious, I'll spend my time, but I don't wanna waste it. You know, and the council and the mayor and council have to be willing to enforce it. You know, if we can get the ordinance on the board, we need to not only enforce it on our end, we need to make our professionals enforce our laws and our ordinances.
Right,
Because otherwise, there's no point to having it.
I think the point, which, you have brought up, the professionals here, you want to make sure they have the tools to enforce.
Exactly. But when they have the tools, I want them to use them. You know, it's pointless to have the tool and not use it. And, we know we have a lot of problems in town, and, there's houses where our police department go to 3, 4 times a week, and, yes, it's their job, but every time they go to somebody's houses, it's also hazardous to their health, because it's not always the best situation.
Right.
And if they weren't a stacked house, they wouldn't be there, and they wouldn't be subjected to those situations. Again, I know it's their job to do it, but, it's also, I feel it's also part of our job to keep them safe and not have to deal with certain things. So, that's my report for this evening.
Excellent. Motion to accept the report of Councilman Smith?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Councilman McDonald?
Good evening, everybody. No report from the Parks and Rec tonight, so we have anything we can bring back to the next meeting.
Just switch back to where
It's on, we'll report that, the next meeting, we'll report before, so Saturday the 28th. It's spectacular, I know they're either close or being full to all vendors, so. And I know everything's been detailed, more information will be that Thursday before our next meeting, Thursday before the spectacular on Saturday the 28th. So anybody else have any questions for anything for Parks and Rec?
Motion to accept the report of Councilman McDonald?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Council President Bernstein?
Thank you, Mayor. On October 4th, the fire department met for their monthly meeting. They took the following actions. They scheduled drills on October 18th and 25th. Kevin Chang has returned to active status from the exempt ranks, and he was assigned to engine 411. Andrew Pratt returned to active status from the chief's ranks, and he was also assigned to engine 411. Tim Jasepchik
Newton.
I'm going with that one. Was accepted as a member and assigned to engine 412. Is there a motion to accept the actions of the fire department?
Motion to accept actions to the fire department.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you. I also want to congratulate the fire department on a great inspection. Everything looked spiffy and great, and everyone was so motivated, so thank you for that. A great banquet. On Tuesday, the fire department responded to a fire. It was in the shopping center by Aldi's, where there's a store that's under construction. It was a construction debris fire, but no one was hurt, and I guess there was no extensive damage. And once again, our very talented fire department responded quickly and took care of that. I met with our administrator today to discuss a few things. One related to the retention of volunteer firefighters. And I'd like to, we have a little more research to do, but I just want to give you just a little preview of the things that we're discussing to incentivize retention of, those that are volunteering, a lot of time in our fire department. So we talked about an increase to the low staff allotment. We haven't adjusted that dollar amount in 5 years, and we are able to give yearly inflation, cost of living type increases. So that $800 we want to readdress. We talked about increasing a clothing allotment. We talked about a stipend for training for those that go through like Firefighter 1, which perhaps would incentivize some of the new recruits. And there may even be a way to fund that education through other means, not through our budget. We talked about waiving pet fees. Pets would still be licensed, but the fee could be waived. We talked about property tax reductions done on a quarterly basis, as well as sewer and water relief to those bills. And we also talked about park link badge fees being waived. So I'd like to just do a little more research, work with Patty, and then present this in advance of budget time, just to see what the implications would be, and to see if we feel we can put a package together to honor those volunteers.
So along those lines, Saturday, Assemblywoman Oregon had quite an extensive conversation with Mr. Swanek regarding these very topics, and there may be benefits at the state level that we might be able to incorporate in his retention. It's not just here, it's many places. So I would encourage you to be able to speak with Laura just on some of the benefits that the state may currently already provide.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I did have a conversation, not with him directly, his assistant, Assemblyman Kevin Rooney, authored some legislation around this, so I have that information, but I'd love to speak to Ora as well.
Absolutely, she was very passionate in this discussion.
I'm sure.
And then certainly Tim with his passion.
I'm surprised she stayed. If I could just touch one thing on that, and again, Tommy Stockbauer was the past chief, he knows he went to the academy. When he went, it was probably 2 or 3 weeks. When I went, it was a Friday night, Saturday for like a month and a half. It's 140 hours now. They have to have uniforms, they have to do PT. It's taken to a whole new level down there. And when you do get somebody to come in that's interested in joining and volunteering and serving the community, and you tell them, you gotta go do 140 plus hours at the academy, not counting travel time and the smoke from their tires leaving the firehouse. You never see them again. So something like that is a huge thing, because those 140 hours, that's time that you're either spending with your family or at work. So just, I've really been trying to stay out of that, but I wasn't sure if Melissa knew how long the academy was.
Yeah,
So-
we talked about like a stipend of $2,800 once completed for participating in that 140-hour training. I know when I met with the committee that the fire department formed, you know, one of them was saying that she used to pick up, a lot of hours in the evenings on her second job, and that she wasn't able to, you know, take any of that paid time because she was driving to, you know, the fire academy. Okay.
I'd like to make a comment on this also. This is a problem, it's not a Rockaway Borough, it's a problem across the state of New Jersey. Any volunteer across the country. Personally, all you need is a firefighter, one certification, to be a firefighter. I read a lot from the Division of Fire Safety, they're upping that now, on education wise. And most of the members today don't have that education. And for having to do 2 classes, I can't see them doing it, it's all volunteer work, it's at nighttime, and weekends. It's a lot to ask of a volunteer, these people need to work, they need to make money, feed their family. They take time out of their lives at nighttime or weekends. We make it up first, your volunteer hours. You can become a family member if you need it. So this is a crisis that we're all experiencing. So we need to support this issue. We need to help these guys out, these members, these volunteers. So we gotta continue on. There's a fight to preserve a volunteer. It really is a battle. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, what you said, they're actually turning around and it's on the books that they're considering, saying that my firefighter one from 29 years ago is not valid, that I'm gonna have to go to the fire academy again, because my 29 years of experience doesn't add up to anything. And I can tell you right now, I can't afford to take 140 hours to go to the academy. Couldn't do it.
And it's hard.
Oh, yeah, it's,
Physically, so.
So along with, you know, legislation, piece of paper, you know, like someone in the room, I mean, those are people that are, we're able to talk to them personally, and they're not just names on paper, they're people that reach out to.
Great. On Tuesday, I met with our labor attorney in preparation for the white collar negotiations. We had offered several dates in October to meet with them. Unfortunately, their attorney has been extremely unresponsive, even when our labor attorney saw that person in person at another negotiation. So it looks like now we're waiting for dates, but I don't believe that those meetings will begin until probably November. We already mentioned that this week, while some of us arrived for the Board of Health meeting, unfortunately, we had 2 folks that couldn't make it at the last minute, so we didn't have a quorum. We already mentioned that Pat Giannetti, who was a long-term member, not only of the Board of Health, but of other volunteer organizations in Rockaway Borough, passed away last Thursday. I went to her services this afternoon. But we do have a great new addition to the Board of Health in Martell Reed, and likely will look to fill a second position because we have another member who is pretty much inactive at this point. I want to thank Rob O'Connor and DPW for installing all of the planters along Main Street in Rockaway. I think the new planters just are such a nice addition. They're more professional looking, they're taller, so that's really exciting. The Garden Club is also going to work with Rob O'Connor around the holiday decorations, because there is some talk of decorating the lamp posts, and if they are going to do that, we may coordinate bows that go on the lamp posts that would match the bows that we would put in the planters around the holidays. So that's up and coming. And my only last thing that I want to mention is that I would like to have a very brief closed session to update all of you regarding PVA contract negotiations. That's it.
Motion to accept the report of Council President Bernstein.
Motion.
Second.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Attorney?
Good evening, everybody. I have no report for public session as of this evening.
For the mayor, as we previously mentioned, our Parsippany Court contract is expiring at the end of the year, and then I, along with our administrator, have been negotiating with Rockaway Township to move to their court. Hopefully we'll have a contract to finalize within the next meeting or 2 to move that forward. The target date would be January 1st. We'll know that. Parsippany has been informed, so that's why I just wanted to bring up here. So, Last week I attended Unico, which is a service organization, at their annual banquet. I was able to give Linda Kirby a proclamation in honor of Dan Bell Citizenship Award, which is obviously very dear to the Bell family and certainly all of us. So I was proud to be able to give her that proclamation. All the years of service that she's given to the borough, as well as the food bank over the years, all the time that she's grown that food bank from a few shelves to quite a volunteer organization there. So it was my honor to be able to do that, and certainly anything I get to do in honor of the Bell family is it's top notch. So appreciate that. Yep. Last night I was honored to be an invited guest to the Chabad Center in White Meadow Lake, along with Senator Bucco, Sheriff Gannon, Prosecutor Bob Carroll, and Township Mayor Joe Jackson, lending our community support to them with all the events happening in Israel. Obviously, it's very close to the hearts there, so I certainly appreciate the outpouring of support from all the communities and all the people and things like that. So they're very resilient there, and like I said, anything that we can do for them, told them to please reach out. And I do need a closed session for potential litigation. Motion to accept the report of the mayor.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Borough Administrator.
Good evening, everyone. Today, I met with the new Township Administrator, Paula Cosarelli. We both attended a joint meeting with the Township for going over the safety, security, and the road closures for the spectacular event. Doing well. It seems, it looks like we're going to have a much better relationship with the Township Administrator moving forward. And I'm kind of excited about that because we do sometimes have to work together and it's easier to be on the same page than we feel like we're constantly not. We had on October 3rd, I believe it was, we had our tax sale. We had 4 properties, all of them sold. And that's all I have this evening. Oh, and I need a closed session for contract negotiations.
Motion to accept the report of the administrator.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Borough Clerk.
Me. Just a reminder that October 17th is the deadline to register for the general election. And an update on AccuScan. We believe we're about 50% through the scanning and destruction of the construction files at this point. And we're hoping to target the environmental files next, as those are quite bulky and luckily we're not rebuilding those, as a lot of those reports are now coming to us digitally, so we don't have to print them and store them. And also, I'm just working on the preparation for the 2024 appointments and contracts.
That is it for me.
Motion to accept the report of the clerk.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda. Only one. 144-23, award contract, which is the emergency booster pump at the filter plant for repair.
Motion to approve the resolution 144.23 as listed in the agenda.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Hurley?
Yes.
Councilman McDonald?
Yes.
Councilman Socko?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Council President Brinson?
Yes.
We have one more introduction tonight, 23-23, something that we had touched on a little bit earlier. Ordinance of the Borough of Rockaway, Mayor and Council, amending Chapter 172 zoning. Amending this chapter is to remove rumors or orders from the list of permitted accessory uses in residential districts. Get a motion?
I'll offer it.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Hurley?
Yes.
Councilman McDonald?
Yes.
Councilman Socko?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Council President Brinson?
Yes.
I'd like to open the meeting to the public.
Bonnie Hook, 23 Jackson. On this ordinance, if this doesn't help the stacking issue, what is the purpose of this then?
It's a start to help the stacking issue.
As we discussed, it's a start, it's a beginning, there's a lot more that we need to do, but there's many steps that we need to take.
So if you do this, it should really enforce the stacking. If there's no rumors or borders, you should be able to get them all out then, right? Or why is it just a start? I'm not following.
Councilman Smith just reported on that, but if you wanna.
Because right now, this was, honestly, I didn't even know this was part of our ordinance until we were made aware of it. And as soon as we were made aware of it, we jumped on it to get this first one taken care of. Dealing with stacking isn't gonna happen overnight. There's gonna be a lot of ordinances, unfortunately, to do that, to give our professionals the tools they need to do it. But this is the first step. We gotta start somewhere, and this was one that we could get done right away.
I agree. How is this gonna affect the residents who might have one boarder, like an elderly couple with one boarder in the house or something like that?
Well, everything is grandfathered. You can't go back
It is
against
grandfather.
You can't go back against it because if I'm correct, right?
There is a lot to unpack in this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save everybody getting into the definition of family per the courts, which basically, a family can be whoever people choose to consider their family. But I think in the simplest sense, this change was made at the recommendation of our code enforcement officials. And as Councilman and the Mayor said, it's not a solution, but it's a start of a solution to address those things. And the professionals recommended it, and we responded.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Oh, hi, Tori Funga.
Yes, Tori Duxbury, 297 East Main. So it's still about the stacking issue. So I understand what's happening, but how, no one is grandfathered in to have like 6 tenants, is that correct? There's nothing like that going on right now, is that correct? I just want to make sure.
The current ordinance said two. The one
Or-
we're being able to limited.
It's grandfathered in for 1, that's what it should be, right? Is that correct?
That's,
So what's the max number that's
But I think what is much more complicated than anybody's giving credit to is what's a tenant, you know? if it's
Okay,
a-
so I don't care about that, I need an answer.
Well, we
But
do.
no, but
It's
it's not an easy answer, because if you have friends live with you and you all, you know what, I don't wanna give everybody the roadmap around it, but I'll put it this way, if you think about it, a tenant is a business relationship. If you split rent or things like that, you're not necessarily considered a business relationship, so there becomes proof issues, and there also becomes constitutional issues in terms of the rights of a private individual, and families, and things of that nature. So it is not a simple issue. It seems very simple on the surface, but it's not.
Okay, so not the issue, the answer. I don't wanna know about the issue. What is the maximum amount of person that can be a tenant in someone's home? There has to be a number. There's a number in every other town. What is the number? Is it 2? Is it 1? Is it 15? What is the number, so who can be grandfathered in?
It depends on what you're talking about, because you can't put a limit on how many people are allowed to live together, but you can put a limit on the number of people who are rental tenants in a business sense.
Isn't it based on the number of bedrooms?
Excuse me,
So
she has the floor.
So in other words, I could live with 50 members of my family, and you cannot regulate that. But if they're tenants, it's a different story.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think it also starts to come into play when there's locks on all the doors.
That's one of the things that's considered an indicia of a potential business relationship as opposed to a familial relationship.
Typically, communal living, your bedrooms don't have keyed locks. Once you start getting into the keyed locks, it kicks it into a different.
Right, I understand that. I just feel like I still didn't get an answer. I'm not
Right now, the
asking
way the
about
ordinance
how.
is written, that as it is currently written, you can have one boarder in your house.
Right,
and a
that's what I
single
thought. So
family
that
dwelling.
means someone can be grandfathered in for 1 person, but not really necessarily for 15 or
Yeah.
3 or 6.
You can't have 15 boarders, the ordinance says one. The old
Thank
ordinance
you,
says one.
and that's the answer.
So, Joyce Farming, 99 East Flag Street. On this same quick question, this gentleman, I think, was about to say, doesn't it also have something to do with how many rooms and how many bathrooms you have?
Doesn't
No?
Doesn't
No,
apply.
it's nothing to do with it.
Doesn't apply. How many boarders, how many?
How many people can sleep in the house? It's based on.
Wait, excuse me.
That's
Person
it.
has the floor.
Yeah, so that was my question. I thought that it was also the same.
But
How many
and
bathrooms do
you're
you
talking
have? How
about-
many people can sleep in your house?
You're talking about a tenant in a traditional sense, meaning like they have a lease and they're living with the person as a business tenant. That's what you mean?
No, I was actually thinking about them just having people in renting rooms and they're going to say they're family, but you've got 16 people living in a house in one bathroom.
I mean, I think the answer is that if it's a family, you cannot regulate
You
how
can't
many people are allowed to live in the house if it's a family.
Okay, thank you. I also have one, just a observation. Listening to going out and doing something with the town hall, when that ends up coming to a solution, that you may all agree on, I would hope that you put it out to the residents if it's going to be very costly in a referendum as to whether or not they're going to, vote yes or nay on the expenditure, depending upon what it is.
I appreciate it. I think we're just showing at least good faith now, getting it out as we started.
Well, because you know what happened the last time that happened, and it wasn't put out there for good faith, so.
So, yes.
just so
the
I'm
short
asking,
answer
it would
is,
be a
yes, we will
referendum.
be transparent.
Thank you, Tom.
Anything else from the public?
How you doing? My name is Usman Khawaja. I am a business owner right here in Rockaway, 399 US 46. I would love to share with you that now at this point we have about 1,000 signatures showing the support for us to open our minority business, cannabis dispensary right here in Rockaway. I know last time when I brought it up that you guys told me that there was an ordinance problem, that you guys only allowed 2 dispensaries and that for them to open up and you guys are gonna have to figure out the way how to bring me in. But what if I was to ask you, because I had a contractor that we were looking at and they came from Genesis Technology, as if right now currently, is there a way as people who's in Rockaway to figure out what's the progress for Genesis Technology? Because they got their license for cannabis as an annual back in before me in August. And as if right now, the contractors have walked away from the site, the signs have came down, they're not gonna be opening up and they're coming out of the race. Is it possible for me to not ask you guys to amend the ordinance to at least try to figure out if there is a progress with that business, if they're gonna be moving forward? And if not, I would like to apply for that license or try to figure out what I can do, because as at this point, I wanna spend more money into making it into a dispensary. I am shutting my CBD business down completely 100%. We're gonna be taking the keys out and we're gonna start putting money down for the security personnel and like the security features that we have to install. That alone is about $62,620 that I have to pay for it currently. I would love to pay for it. I want to move forward with it, but at the same time, I just want to figure out if there's a way to figure out the process. If the store is not going to be opening up, I would just like to reconsider if I can apply for it. I would love to pay another $5,000 fee just to see if it does go anywhere, because as a minority business, I want to move forward. There's only so many options for me to go to a different town and get the process started again after like spending all this money into this business. I'm just trying to figure out, is there a way for me to get the progress? Because we went to the store and there's people even at the store. The store is completely empty. There's not one construction thing that has been done in that site. I have a manager for Domino's also is involved with them, and they were telling me like even they're not gonna be moving in. The landlord for that business already said that they're not gonna be, it just didn't work out, they ran out of money. So I just wanna figure out, is there a way it's possible to get the second license or try to apply for that second license? I would love to pay for the application fee. Just wanna weigh out my options because I wanna move forward. We would love to get this dispensary open. With the last license, all I need is inspection from the state, and I would like to apply for the license from the town, and we can open up before the end of this year. And that's just me talking literally with the contractors who sat down, and even the state that we already spoke to, they're gonna be sending out an inspection within the next month or so. So it's just something I wanted to ask you if you can reconsider or can still try to apply for a second license.
So I appreciate, your presentation last meeting and then certainly being up here. But the matter of fact is, you do not have a municipal license to open up a dispensary at this time.
Yes.
Our ordinances, 2 licenses which have been obviously, sent out,
And they are
Genesis.
paid up and they have they're up to date with their fees, and I spoke to the one owner not that long ago, and he didn't say anything about it.
So, yeah, so basically, you know, just because they're not moving fast enough for your satisfaction, it doesn't mean they're not moving forward. At this point, you know, we are not considering any other municipal licenses. We need to see what we can do with the ones that we do have at the moment. If another license became available, we don't spot license. We can't say, oh, we're gonna give it to you. We have to open up the whole application process if there was a new municipal license available. But at this time, there will not be a second or a third license available in Rockaway Borough.
Okay, awesome. So as of right now, I just wanna circle back. So if there's a chance, or there's 100% chance that you're telling me that their money is ran out, because this is coming from the investor and the contractors, that they couldn't even pay to put up the sign on the building. If their money has ran out and they are not gonna be going forward with it, what is the process? What are you, is there expiration on the license or?
Absolutely, there's an annual, you know, you're aware, there's an annual,
Yes.
you know, so we have to wait, you know, for this annual license, you know, for the flood for renewals, but, you know,
Expired at the end of the
basically,
year.
the information I can't, as much as I know you're telling me that I can't rely on you for the
Yes.
information that you're giving me.
Yes.
So certainly, you know, we're on top of that.
I would please ask the
Plus,
council.
we gotta remember that we are a government, so just like for us to poke around in the affairs of your business, you know, it would be a little bit inappropriate, like, we can't call a license holder and ask them, like, what's going on and what's your financials. It's basically as long as they have a license and as long as they're in compliance with our ordinance and the state license, they get to retain the license.
Even if it stays there, it doesn't open up.
But I'm saying you're free to approach them to try to work some of this.
No, we reached out to the landlord, that's where legal's gonna be, but that's what they told them, that they're not gonna move forward, but I'm gonna try to do my own due diligence and try to keep checking it out. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you guys.
No, thank you for.
Thank you.
George Schuster, 215 Andrea Drive in Rockaway Borough. The first question I have for tonight is, we're talking about a $994,000 bond you brought up. Could you tell me what that's for?
Accumulation of what we do, and that was gonna be,
So what that is, it's actually, it's a band, it's a bond anticipation note that we go out every year, to fund the capital projects until we do actually go out and go for permanent funding. So, this this note consists of, last year we went out for no debt, but I'm trying to think of years. 2021, we did go out for approximately, I think, $500,000. And then this year we did another $600,000, but then we also had a pay down because some of the projects did not, were under budget. So we reduced the note accordingly, so not to borrow money that we don't need. So
So
it's not,
it's not for something specific?
no, well, it's for a bunch of capital projects that were approved during the budget process.
Okay. All right, can I get an update on the $75,000 grant we received for soil sampling on the Route 46, the oil storage property?
Okay, so, you know, I know, I'm just trying to remember the document. So what that is that was a grant that we got the exact amount of how much it was gonna cost to do the preliminary investigation of the property. And when we got that quote, we submitted it in, so they gave us the exact amount of money, so it's $0 to the town to pay for that report. So
Is that pending, or has that been taken care of? Or where do we
The
stand on
report,
that?
I think, just got submitted, or is gonna be submitted to the state. I haven't gotten the bill for it yet, but once the bill comes in, it will be paid for.
Okay, so the sampling has taken place.
Again, I don't know if it was a preliminary investigation, I don't know I think it consisted of a lot more, I don't know if sampling was, I'm gonna assume it, but I know they did they came and looked at documents, old court litigation items that was on it from when it had some issues years ago. So the preliminary investigation was more than just soil. But
There's a set of professional standards that the DEP dictates as to how those go. They're way over my head in terms of being complicated, like in terms of engineering and environmental. But for the payment to be approved by the state to us to pay the contractor and for the report to actually be considered valid, they have to meet all those thresholds and have it approved by the DEP. But as far as like what goes into that, it's well beyond anything I'm familiar with.
Got it. I didn't know if that was gonna be a yes or no. Okay, anyway, regarding the RPO and settlement, 74 West Main Street, which I did receive a copy of, I have one question regarding that. What happens to the monies that we had to pay into that? I don't wanna quote the number again. Do we get our money back if they decide not to build, or?
We don't get the money until they start building, so we haven't given that money out yet.
Okay. I happened to be walking at Parks Lake the other day because Donatoni was a little bit wet. What happened to the General Ordinario's memorial plaque?
So that's, obviously, that's in the Rockaway Township side.
Yeah.
Obviously, when they put it in during the ceremonies that we had last
Yeah.
November, they had to remove it, you know, number one, because of the construction that was going around that area, but also to, you know, finish polishing it, refinishing it, you know, something along those lines. It has not been returned yet, so
And when it's returned, where will it be put?
exactly where it was.
Exactly where it was.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
underneath the flagpole.
Okay. I think that's gonna be it for tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Much appreciated. Okay. And you.
Gentlemen, back.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Hugh Giordano, and I'm a union representative with the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, UFCW, Local 360. We're an international union of 1.3 million hardworking families, and we're the official labor union of cannabis workers from seed to sale, both dispensary and cultivation workers, medical and adult use. And we're the official labor union under the AFL-CIO. I'm here today for a couple reasons. One, I wanted to let everybody know here so that if something were to happen with the other license, that Uzman has signed what's called a labor peace agreement with the UFCW, which means that those workers will have the right to form and join a union if they choose to, without intimidation, without threats. You won't be seeing Jeff Bezos type of actions here in Rockaway, and that's important to know. The working class people of the borough deserve to know that when a dispensary or cultivation site comes to the borough, these are good jobs. These are good jobs that can support families, provide benefits, sick time, vacation, retirement, like any other job. A lot of these workers in these industries are well trained and highly educated. Right from our universities right here in New Jersey, Rutgers, Rowan, Stockton, botany, chemists. These are smart young folks that come to the borough and create young families, which then helps with taxes. On top of that, it's important that if you do open up and create an ordinance to expand eventually, that you have a process that is transparent and gives everybody an equal opportunity to apply for this application and to apply for a license. Lots of other towns and cities and boroughs have created merit-based application systems. Bayonne, Williamstown, you know, just a few. Big cities, small town, right? It works for everybody. Merit-based application systems make sure that you have good employers that open up in here, in the borough. That not only just workers' rights, but environmentally friendly. You know, job creation, how they're gonna hire, security, environmental standards, all these things matter. And I would hope that if you do allow more businesses to come into the borough, that you have a system such as that actually will appreciate employers and business owners that want to treat their workers right. So on behalf of the UFCW, and on behalf of the AFL-CIO, I would hope that in the future, that you make sure that these employers sign labor peace agreements, treat the people in the borough with respect, and create good jobs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I wasn't gonna talk, I don't know.
Name
if
and
this
address.
is- My name is Crystal Kagan.
Address.
It's 78 Kendall Court. I've known Usman for the last 10 years, and aside from the business side of it, I've never seen anyone ever work harder for something that they want in their whole entire life. I've never seen anyone pursue the people that are around them and make them better people because of how hard he works. His family are, he's worked so hard for every single thing that he's had, and he started from nothing. If you let Usman Khawaja walk away from Rockaway Borough, I promise, you're gonna regret it. He will be something, whether it's with you guys or it's with someone else. And we don't wanna see it with anyone else. We wanna stay here. And I promise you, you wanna talk about budgets and taxes and all of that stuff? What do you think is bringing in so much tax money across all of the United States that have legalized it? His name is in code. It's all across this country. It's not just in Rockaway Borough, it's not just New Jersey. He's made a name for himself, and he deserves to not look at as a little kid or just the person that comes up here and just repeats himself over and over to you guys. He's doing it because he cares and he loves what he does, and he deserves it more than anyone else that I know, and I promise you, you will not regret it. And the only way you will regret it is if you let him walk away. Because we're gonna keep doing this every single day. We're gonna keep going, with or without you guys, respectfully. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Hearing none, motion to go into closed session? Motion. Second. All in favor? Thank you.
Good evening.